TinkerCAD tips, welcome back. This is part 2 where we were working on the 4-part silhouette design. And in part 1, I had just got done taking a portion of this SVG and cutting it out with this cookie cutter back here. And we had hidden a copy of the ring up here. So let's bring that back. Shift-Control-H. There's the ring. Select it, D to drop it to the work plane. Let's make sure that it's 5 millimeters. Let's take our part of the silhouette. Let's make that 5 millimeters. We're going to zoom in a bit here, and we can, if we change our snap grid here to like 0.5 millimeter, we can move that SVG around just a little bit to make sure it's lined up and everything's going to be printed attached to that ring. Okay, that all looks good. Select the two of those. Let's group those together. Zoom out here. Let's go ahead and slide that up off to the side, and let's do our next SVG. So we're going to click on Import again. Choose File. We're going to pull that same SVG that we did before. And we're going to say that it's 100 millimeters. Import that. There, it's imported. I think I should have brought that in as 200, so let's go ahead and change that. We can always resize it here in a moment. I'm going to change that to black. There we go. We're going to increase the quality to 24. And the height will change here in a minute. Now, just as we did before, let's grab copies of these two parts up here. Click Duplicate. Let's drag that down here. Let's select and temporarily hide that ring. Now let's take our SVG. We'll move it over this direction. Let's drag and resize this a bit. I'm looking at the portion that will get cut out in the center of that circle there. We can bring that down. Right about there is good. Let's go ahead and change that to just 5 high. All right, we'll grab our cookie cutter here that we have. Increase the height of it a bit and drag it down. I just want to make sure that I'm intersecting all of that SVG. All right. Have that where I want it. I'm going to lasso select the two of those, group those together. Okay, there's our second cutout. Let's bring back that ring that we hid. So Control-Shift-H. Select that. D to drop it to the work plane. Let's make sure that's 5 millimeters. Change the SVG to 5 millimeters. Make sure they're both dropped to the work plane. There we go. Select the two of those, group those together. Now that we have that one, let's raise it up a bit and we'll slide it over here next to that one. Let's do the next part, the cabin. We'll click Import, choose File. There's our cabin. And we'll make the width 175. We'll adjust that in a moment. Okay, there's our cabin SVG. Select that. Let's change the quality to 24. Change it to black. All right, let's zoom out. Let's grab another copy of these two items here. Duplicate. Let's drag that down over here. Okay, just like before, I'm going to select that ring, Control-H to hide it. Now let's adjust this cabin. bring it down a bit. There, that one looks pretty good. Let's make sure this is covering that up. Zoom out here. Let's select those two parts, group those together. And there's our grouped cabin. So let's bring the ring back. Shift-Control-H. D to drop it. We'll select the cabin. Make sure it's on the work plane. The ring is 5. Cabin 5 millimeters. There we go. We'll select the two of those, group those together. Once that's grouped, we'll bring it up a bit. Slide that over here on top of that one, and let's do the last one, the couple. Import, choose file, get our SVG here. Let's set the width on this to 100. Click import. There's our SVG. It's like before, we'll change it to black. There we go. And we can bring out these two remaining ones instead of making another duplicate. Hide the ring, Control-H. Let's move that in there. Let's resize this a bit. Let's move it into place. There we go. Right about there. Okay. Select those two items. Group those together. And Shift-Control-H to bring the ring back. Select the ring, D to drop it to the work plane. Let's change that silhouette to be 5 millimeters. Verify the ring is 5 millimeters, which it is. Select the two of those, group those together. Once we have that, let's bring this up above the rest of them. Kind of drag it back here. All right, now we'll move on to the next part, getting these aligned and sized. Let's go ahead and select all 4, do a quick alignment, this direction, and this direction. Let's move these out here. All right, the easiest way to separate these, we'll start with the bottom one here. I'm going to hit D to drop it to the work plane. Then I'm going to use the work plane tool, drop it on top of that one, select the next one, D, work plane tool here, select D to drop. Again, work plane tool on that ring, select this one, D to drop. All right, let's put our work plane back on the default. Now let's put some spacing in between these. Let's set our grid here to 1 millimeters. All right, so I'm going to lasso select all 4 of those, but then I'm going to hold down the Shift key and deselect the bottom one, and holding down the Control and the Shift key, I'm going to cursor up once. That's going to put 10 millimeters between the first one here and the second one. Shift deselect that one. Control Shift cursor up. Shift deselect that one. Control Shift cursor up. Okay, now we have all 4 of them lined up and ready to go. We'll continue from this point in the next tutorial. So as always, like, follow, and share. Drop me any comments, and hey, repost these videos. Really helps with the algorithm and getting some views. Happy tinkering. Join me on the next one.